Okay, students, welcome back. We are officially here for the ACT SAT Proctored practice test and discussion. If you guys have any questions, well, first of all, I guess I should say I am Chase, for those that haven't been on one of these live streams before. I'm Chase, and I will be your host. I'm just kidding, I'll be leading you through this today. So if you guys have taken a practice test with us before, great, welcome back. We're excited to have you guys here. For those that have not taken a practice test with us before, but it should be pretty straightforward, pretty easy, so don't feel like you're out of the loop here. And again, guys, what we're trying to do today is lead you guys through a real essay or the real proctoring of an ACT or SAT practice test so that you guys get the real feel and simulation for what it's going to be like on test day. I can't stress enough how important it is to do this in the same manner, to practice in the same manner that you guys are going to actually take the real test. Because again, once you get into that environment, that's the one thing that we can't really simulate. If you've been in our classes or if you've watched one of our videos before, that's the one thing we really can't simulate unless you guys are doing that, right? Unless you guys are doing it on your own. And that's the only downside to these virtually proctored practice tests. But the upside is we get to connect with a lot of you, right? There's a lot of students from all over the country and all over the world that get to tune in for these live streams. And so we're really, really excited for that. And if you guys are in our classroom programs, and are joining for the first time, if this is your first proctored practice test, welcome. Can everybody give me a thumbs up in the chat to make sure that I know who's here? So thumbs up in the chat just so that we know who's here, particularly if you're in one of our classes, so that we know who's here for the classes, right? So we can keep track of you guys. If you guys are having any trouble with the streaming, just make sure it's trouble with the chat. Make sure that a lot of times if you're using a school account, sometimes that creates restrictions with it, just because of school restrictions. So just make sure that you guys are on just maybe a normal Gmail account for that. If you guys want to remain anonymous and don't want to give me a thumbs up in the chat, can you guys just thumbs up on the video below, just so I know that for the most part everyone's following along. Good question on signing up. So for those of you guys that are seniors, first of all, I want to say a thank you. Before we get going here, I want to say a thank you to all the seniors, because it's amazing how much adversity you guys have had to go through to get to this point and to continue to practice. I've said it in our other videos that I was not a great student when I was your age, but I want to try to communicate to you guys all the things that I did incorrectly, what I did wrong, why I needed a better work ethic, all that stuff. And so for the seniors that are continuing to work hard and battling through this, I just say thank you, because that hard work really inspires me and makes me want to do more of these, and makes our other teachers and tutors want to participate more as well. So if you guys have seen our posts on Reddit, Anna is a great, she's been great about posting there, so that's awesome. And again, I just appreciate you guys continuing to work hard, because I know it hasn't been easy. To the question that we had here, somebody had a question about the 2 ACTs in September and October. Yeah, so the reason that we can't, I think that the reason you can't sign up for 2, I think it's still allowed, but seniors had priority, the ones that had already signed up for a practice or for a real test and hadn't gotten a chance to take it because of cancellations, they had priority. So it may have been, I know we have a student that was able to sign up in September and October, so I think probably the reason that was just because they had, they've signed up in the past and had their test canceled, and so those students got priority. So it's probably just a lack of spots for those 2 tests. But yeah, we do have a student that was able to sign up. It may have been because that student had 2 tests canceled, so that I know that person had 2 tests canceled, so that may have been the issue. But yeah, I'm not sure on that note. Okay, guys. So before we get started here, can everybody make sure that they have your test in front of you? You have your test form in front of you, printed out, ready to go. If you're in our classes, you guys saw I posted the materials that you'll need for today's class. If you're not, you can also just visit our website. We have the ACT and SAT live streams. Yeah, we have the ACT and SAT released exam. So if you guys are looking for a test and test form, you guys can find that in the video description below. Yeah, so guys, and then again on the registration process, especially for seniors in September and October, it's a mess. And again, I wish I had a better response. I don't know what the deal is. I do know that we have a rising senior that was able to sign up for a test in September and a test in October. I know that he had 2 of his tests previously canceled, so that might be why. But yeah, I wish I had better advice. I mean, the whole process has been a nightmare for seniors, which is again why I just say thank you more than anything for your work ethic and your hard work and just hanging in there, because it's not great. Okay, yeah, it's not great. Let's see what else we have here. Anything else? So guys, if you have your test form in front of you, and again, if you're in our classes, we posted the materials that you'll need for today, including the bubble sheet. If you're not, you can see in the description where it says ACT and SAT released exams in the description below this video, this live stream. So just feel free to click on those, and you guys can download a test from the website. That's totally fine as well. But can everybody give me a good to go? Can you guys all say good to go in the chat if you guys have all of your test forms in front of you and you have your bubble sheet in front of you? And then we'll get started here in just a second. Good to go. Okay, great. Thanks, Ty. Thanks, guys. Okay, so before we get started here, and this is for everybody, before we get started, I always like to lead everybody through a little warm-up just to keep you guys in the right mindset. And my hope is that for you guys to watch these and to be a part of these live streams, I want to try to give as much advice, and I've been doing this for a long time. It's amazing. When I was your age, 16, 17 years old, 10 years ago, if I told myself I would be doing this, every day for 8 years, I'd be shocked, to be honest, probably the best word. But because of that, I've seen over 1,000 students in the last 7 or 8 years. And so I've seen things, I think, that I've worked for other companies, and I've been able to figure out some things about this test that I think can be really motivating and really uplifting to students. Because the last thing we want to do, this test, we can all agree that this test is already stressful and anxiety-ridden, all that kind of stuff that comes with this. The last thing I want to do is add on to that. That would be the worst thing that we could do in this situation. So I don't want to add on to that anxiety and stress. Instead, we want to try to minimize that. So there's two things before we get started with the actual exam. My hope is that the warm-up I'm about to lead you guys through and this thought process, you'll carry with you into the real exam. Because ultimately, I'm not going to be over your shoulder on test day, right? It's going to be up to you guys to do these things. When you're in the line, right, we talk about this a lot in our videos, but when you're in line getting ready to register on the actual test day, the last thing you want to be doing, and believe me, I know I've seen enough 16, 17-year-olds over the years with these programs, and it wasn't that long ago that I was there. When you're in line, you don't want to be sitting there with your friend being like, oh my God, this is going to be the worst thing ever, right? I know how that works out, right? You're sitting there, oh, this is so bad, I'm going to fail this, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting into college. Then you almost talk yourself out of doing well before the test even gets going, and that's the last thing that I want you to do. So rather than doing that whole song and dance that we've seen before, I'd rather you guys be thinking positively and be thinking about, okay, what am I about to do? What do I need to do to warm up for this? What are my thoughts prior to the exam so that I know that I can go in there and just rock it? And again, guys, the thing you want to remember is that at 8 a.m., you're going to walk in on a Saturday morning, and the times are crazy right now, and it's hectic and all that stuff. Okay, but when you guys come out of the exam at 12:30, you're still a 16-year-old kid. That's the best. You're starting the best years of your life, right? These next 10 years are awesome. And the last thing you guys want to be doing is not being a 16-year-old kid. Okay, so when you guys get out at 12:30, the sun's still going to be shining, especially if it's summertime, right? Sun's still going to be shining. You guys are still going to be the same people. You can go hang out with your friends and forget about the ACT. So don't let this thing overwhelm you. If I had one advantage as a kid, and the reason I was a great test taker yet a horrible student, is because I never thought about anything. I never thought about the next day, let alone college. And that was horrible in every aspect of my life. I was a terrible student, right? I was always trying to find these minimums. But with that, the reason that gave me such a massive leg up on everybody else when I took a test like this is because I was just like, oh, we'll see what happens today. And again, that lack of stress is something that I had to correct and change and figure out my own work ethic. But I was 5 years, 6 years later than you guys are right now when I figured that out. And I don't want that to have to happen to you guys. So if you can combine a great work ethic, which is so much more important than being a good test taker, if you can combine that and then I can help you become a better test taker and we can merge those two things, the sky is the limit. Because being a great test taker largely is about relieving stress and finding easy questions, keeping the momentum going and not letting yourself get in that moment of like, ugh. And because I always, when you feel that way, like, oh, this test, get me out of here, right? When you feel that moment of stress and you just want to give up, that's when the person that isn't giving up is taking steps ahead of you. And so when you take this test today, I want you guys to continue to think about that, to find the easy question. When you find a moment of time when you're like, just get me out of here. I'm done with this. I don't care if my parents are disappointed in me. I don't care if I never get into the best school in the world. Whatever your expectations were going into this, sit back and take a deep breath for 1 minute. Even today, work on this, right? Sit back and just be like, This isn't the end of the world, because if you take a minute to take a break, while you might miss questions at the end of the test, 2 or 3 questions you have to guess on at the end of the test, you won't lose that momentum. And so the guessing at the end is minor, 2 or 3 questions to take a minute break, or even just to look at it and be like, okay, let me keep going, let me keep pushing forward. And that's what I want to show you guys before we even get going with any testing or any warm-up. I want you guys to remember this. So you'll see here, I'll talk about the ACT and the SAT here. But for those that are taking the SAT, this is just a scoring for SAT practice test number 8. And I'll walk you guys through this. For SAT test takers, the scoring is very, very straightforward. So when you get to the math section for the SAT, and again, ACT test takers, hold tight for a second because I'll talk about that in a second. But the same idea applies to what I'm going to say. The SAT test takers, when you guys get to the math section today, and it's going to be tiring and you're going to want to give up, remember that when you get to the calculator section, section 4 for the SAT, every question is worth 10 points, right? Whoops, change my marker here. Okay, every question is worth 10 points, particularly as you get further and further into the test, right? 10 points, 10 points. And so for the SAT test takers, work on that. When you start to feel tired during the math section, and you will, there's nothing I can do to help you with endurance, right? That's got to be on you. You have to have that mental fortitude to keep pushing through. When you have that moment of like, oh, just get me out of here. Who cares anymore? I just, when you have that moment of just wanting to break down and cry, and believe me, I feel that way sometimes, right? When you get into that moment, you got to make sure that you think 10 more points. Every time I have a question that I need to answer, that's 10 more points. So go find an easy question. Get yourself back on a roll. Find momentum. Right? It's amazing that you see this in sports all the time or in a play, right? When the audience is responding, and if you're an actor or an actress and the audience is responding, all of a sudden the play is so much better. When they're laughing, right? Versus when they're not and it just feels dead. That's what we don't want to have happen. We got to keep that momentum going. So 10 points, 10 points. When you're in that endurance mode, think about that. Okay, one more question. I get 10 points because the student sitting next to you that's just like, oh, get me out of here. You're beating them every time you think 10 more points, one more question. Come on, keep pushing. Find the easy questions. Finding 10 points doesn't mean doing the next question. It means going to find an easy question so that you get back on a roll and you want to keep doing the test again. Because generally when you feel that moment of get me out of here, it's because you're on a difficult question. You've been toiling away with it for 2 minutes, right? And you're just you still don't know where you're going with it. That's what we want to try to avoid. The ACT is the same way. So SAT test takers for today, can everybody give me a thumbs up if that makes sense? Can everybody give me a thumbs up in the chat for the SAT test takers? 10 more points. It's really easy to see. SAT scoring is a lot less abstract than ACT scoring. Guys, if you didn't know this before, there are 154 questions on the SAT exam, and you may have guessed it, there are 1,600 points. Okay, a very quick mental math, right? If we divide that by 160, okay, almost exactly each question is worth 10 to 11 points. Okay, so each question is worth somewhere between 10 and 11 points as an average. That's a true statement. It's the great thing about SAT scoring is it's very, very easy to figure out. 10 points, 10 points, 10 points, and if you do that, your mind you'll keep that momentum going. ACT, guys, same thing, especially on these science tests. Okay, unfortunately, I had to use the 74F test, but when you guys are on the reading section, right? When you're on reading and you're thinking on the math, and the math is so hard on the ACT section, that's section 2, as you guys know. For those that haven't taken the ACT before, you'll see it today, it's section 2. Or reading, look what happens, guys, on the reading test. If you answer 30, there's 40 questions on the reading test, as you guys know. If you answer 30 and then you give up, every single question that you would have answered from there is worth a full point on the ACT. Does everybody see that? That when you look at the reading test here, every question, I don't know where my lines are a little off here, I think 30 might be for a 28, maybe. Okay, but every question is worth a full point. So if you guys are, right, there's 40 total questions on reading. If you guys are starting to give up, that means you're just giving up points on the ACT. This mental ability to just keep pushing forward will raise your score on the ACT 3 to 4 points literally overnight. And for SAT test takers, I swear it can raise your score 100 points overnight if you have that mental fortitude to just be like, one more question, I got this. Because it's 10 questions, that's not very hard to see on the SAT. 10 questions equals 100 points. And if you find those easy ones, same thing with the ACT, find the easy questions, keep that momentum rolling. It's amazing how much better you can do. So ACT test takers, can everybody give me a thumbs up if that makes sense? ACT test takers for today, can everybody give me a thumbs up if that idea of mental fortitude, keep pushing forward, find easy questions so that you get that momentum going again and you're ready to go. So ACT test takers, give me a thumbs up if that's good, and then I'll lead you guys through a short warm-up, and then we'll get started with the exams. Okay? Okay, guys, so before we get started here, and for those that have done this before, done practice tests with us before, I'm a huge believer in warming up before you start, because if you warm up, all of a sudden, the simple mistakes that you may have made, or the anxiety, the stress, that the butterflies in your stomach, which are great if you can turn those into focus, those butterflies will turn around, right, and you'll focus, and we get those simple mistakes out early. So you guys may notice this, but we see this from students all the time, where students will miss an abnormal amount of questions to what they typically do in the first 10 questions of the first section. So for ACT test takers on the English section, and English is the easiest section, you guys luck out because you have the easiest, especially if you put in the hard work to memorize those grammar rules, you guys have the easiest section. We see so many students miss like 5 out of the first 10, and then they get 60 right in a row. And that doesn't, obviously there's not 5 of the first 10 are not going to be the 5 hardest questions on the test. And what that generally is just because we haven't been in that momentum. We haven't gotten ready to go yet. So the first thing that I want you guys to do before we get started with the actual test is I'd like everybody to open up their Star U app. If you don't have the Star U app open, or Star U app downloaded yet on your phones, please do that now. Just search Star U in the App Store or Google Play. But I'd like everybody to open their Star U app now. It's free of charge, so if you haven't downloaded it yet, and then create a student account. Okay, so you can create that on the front page, opening page. For those that haven't created an account yet, just go to sign up now at the bottom, and you guys can quickly create an account. It takes 5 seconds, and it's free. I want everybody to download the app or open their student account now. Okay, and then, what's going on here? Okay, and then I want you guys to log in. And on the home page, you guys will see that says SAT and ACT. All of our tutorials, which are written for those that are in our classes, all of these tutorials are put into this app. So if you click ACT and you click ACT English, okay, I want you guys to be doing this on your phone before the test starts on actual test day, just like we're doing right now. Click verb tense. You don't have to do really difficult problems, but you'll see all of the PDFs, again, free, so just download it. You click practice questions, and I want you guys to do some practice questions standing in line on test day, just like we're doing now. Because I don't want it to be one of those situations where you're talking with your friend and you're trying to figure out, right, all the stuff that goes along with getting nervous before a test. I'd rather you guys be doing practice problems, getting those jitters and that anxiety out of the way first, and then you guys and then you go into the test, and those first 10 questions suddenly aren't as bad. So ACT test takers, go into ACT English on the front page, on the home page. ACT, then ACT English, and then just do some easy problems. I'm not really even concerned if you get these questions right. It's just to get your mind in the right zone to start taking the exam. So ACT test takers do ACT English. For SAT test takers, click SAT on the front page when you're in it. Okay? And then let's go to SAT test takers. And SAT, even though the reading section is first, reading is pretty hard on the SAT, as you guys know. So what I'd rather have you guys do is SAT writing and language first. So can everybody open SAT writing and language? You'll see a lot of the same concepts, right? Basic and advanced. You guys can click on either of those. And I'd like everybody to do a few warm-up problems in the SAT writing and language section. Okay, SAT writing and language. Just like verb tense again, you guys can do verb tense, practice questions, right? And just do some practice questions. Get yourself in the right mindset before this whole thing gets going. Okay, and then I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. 5 minutes, so everybody, if you haven't downloaded it and registered, do that now. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to just do some practice problems here. Okay, just warm up. Get your mind in the right zone. Okay, I'm about to take a test. It's going to be a multiple choice test, and then you can be doing this while you sit there. While you're sitting there registering in line. You right, instead of doing the whole thing like, "Mom, get away from me," right, or talking to your friend about how badly you're going to do. Don't have a positive mindset. Warm up. Get yourself in the right zone, and then you guys are going to be set to go. Okay, so do some practice problems now. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, but I'd like everybody to do that now. And then we'll get started with the test. 5 minutes, guys. We're warming up on the app. Same thing I want you guys to do on actual test day. Doing a few practice problems. Don't pick the hardest problems either. Remember, the point of this is not to find the single hardest grammar question that you guys can do and psych yourself out before the test. It's to do the opposite. It's to get some questions right, get in the right mindset, get those jitters out of the way, start thinking about the exam, what you're about to do, and it'll make the biggest difference in the world. You guys will do great. I promise. We see so many students miss so many questions in the first 10, and it's largely just because we're getting going, and then all of a sudden you get 60 right in a row, especially if you're a great English student. We don't want to miss those questions just because we haven't warmed up yet. So again, I'll give you guys about 3-4 more minutes. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. If you guys finish up, right? If you finish up with the one section, you just go back and do a few more. If you want to memorize punctuation stuff, that's always a good one, right? Go to punctuation then and do some punctuation problems to brush up on the rules. If you guys want to quickly read some of those PDFs just to get yourself, again, in the right mindset, that's totally fine as well. But again, you can do all of this on your phone, and so there's no reason to be getting yourself psyched out before the test. Keep doing these warm-up problems. If you finish one, just do another section. Just get in the right mindset. Spend about 5-10 minutes on actual test day to get this thing, to get yourself in the right zone. Okay, give you guys about 1-2 more minutes here. Keep working. Okay, everybody good? Can everybody give me a good to go? Can you guys say good to go? If you guys feel pretty good about these, you feel like you've warmed up, if you feel like this idea is kind of sinking in, why it's important to continue to warm up, do all this stuff right, can everybody give me a good to go when you guys are feeling comfortable with the questions? Okay, great guys. Again, keep that positive mindset. You guys are doing great. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. What I'd like everybody to do is for SAT test takers only, we're going to start with the SAT students. If you're taking the SAT today, I'm going to post our recorded video of the SAT proctoring. It's complete with timers. There's a short intro from me that we talk a little bit about the same warm-up, so you can skip forward to the start of the reading section if you already warmed up. But it's like a 2-minute intro, and then it starts with the reading section. And the timer's on the screen. So here's what I want everybody to do. If you're taking the SAT today, SAT proctoring. Okay, I'm posting this in the chat, and I'll post this below in the comments as well. SAT proctoring video is being posted in the chat now. Here's what I want you guys to do. When you start the video, I want you to. It talks about the breaks. The whole video proctors it exactly like the SAT exam. I want you guys to follow along with the video all the way through because again, the thing we can't simulate is the real environment. And if you pause the video and then you get up or you're not watching the full thing and you're trying to proctor it on your own, it's not going to be like the real environment. The video does everything and just like a proctor would in the real test. So if you pause the video in the middle of a section to go to the bathroom because you feel a little stressed, that's not going to be allowed in the real thing. So we want to try to make sure that once you start the video, you go all the way through it without stopping. And it mentions breaks and stuff. So when the breaks come along, of course, take a break, get some food, water bottle, all that kind of stuff. But if you watch the video all the way through and you listen to each step and you watch the record, all the way through, it will be like the real proctoring, and that's something that we can't simulate. And if you can do that really well, Then when you get to the real testing environment, it feels all the same. Okay, so here's the SAT test taker video. Okay, SAT proctoring video has just been posted. So guys that are taking the SAT, I want you guys to mute me on this video now. Okay, mute me now, but don't close this out. Okay, don't close this live stream out. I want you to put it in a corner, right, with me muted, so that if you have a question sometime along while you're taking the test, if you have a question, you can quickly access me because I'm going to stay on this live stream. But that way you're not scrambling and getting frazzled. Just mute this video now, put me up in the corner, and then watch that recorded SAT video all the way through. SAT test takers, can you give me a thumbs up if those instructions make sense? If you've already been approved for accommodations for the SAT, I'm going to also post the accommodation, the extended time video for the SAT test. But only, again, guys, this is only if you're approved for accommodations in school. Okay? Great, guys. So SAT test takers, once you give me the thumbs up and you guys know the instructions, you guys can get started. Mute me, pause me, put me up in the corner, and then start the video and watch it all the way through. It will guide you through the entire exam just like the real proctoring. ACT test takers, hold tight for a second. Okay, I'm also going to post the SAT regular time here. SAT proctoring has been posted. If you've been approved for accommodations, I'll post that extended time video as well. Okay, so SAT test takers, you guys should be off and running. Good luck. I think you guys are going to do great. For ACT test takers, all of the instructions, so ACT test takers, can you give me 2 thumbs up if you're an ACT test taker getting started here? Can you give me 2 thumbs up? Okay, the same instructions will apply for the ACT test takers. Okay, I want you guys to watch the video all the way through. It will be complete with breaks, all that kind of stuff. Everything that's actually simulated on the real exam. So I want you to start the video. Here's the ACT test, ACT proctoring. Okay, so here's the ACT proctoring video. Okay, I just posted that in the chat, and I'll post that in the comments below. Okay, again, if you've been approved for accommodations at school, I'll also post the extended time video here. Okay, but I want you to mute me if you're an ACT test taker. Mute me, mute this video, put me up in the corner in case you have any questions as you're going. I'm going to be on the live stream so you can ask those. And then start the video and watch it all the way through. It'll complete with breaks. It's exactly how it's proctored for the real thing. So there's the ACT normal time video, and then for the extended time students, if you've been approved for accommodations, here the extended time video. Okay, so ACT test takers, if that all makes sense, you guys are good to go. Here's the extended time. Okay, again, mute me, put me up in the corner, and then we'll be good to go. So there's the ACT extended time. It'll lead you through the whole exam. I'll be on. I'll stay on here and answer any questions in the chat. And otherwise, guys, good luck. You guys are gonna do so well today. And yeah, I'll post instructions in the chat as well as we get into it. I'll post instructions on what to do after the test is over. So again, guys, good luck. Great job today. Thanks for all your hard work and continuing to participate as much as you guys have. Keep it up. And yeah, good luck on the test. Okay, guys, I'll be here if you need me. So just feel free to comment in the chat if you guys have any questions while you're going through the test. But try to stick to that video as closely as you can. All right, good luck, guys. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna sign off now. We're gonna stop there. If you guys have any questions, I think everybody seems to be anybody that had questions, I suppose, after starting the video that's taking the test. I think probably would have asked those questions anyway by now. So it seems like you guys have a pretty good handle on what the video is and taking the practice test. So I'm gonna sign off. If you guys have any questions, particularly if you're in one of our classes, I should mention that if you're in one of our classes, I've posted the instructions on what I'd like you to do with these tests, including the grading it, all that kind of stuff, where you need to send a picture of your bubble sheet, your completed bubble sheet, send a picture of the advanced score report, all that kind of, or send your advanced score report, a copy of it. So that's all posted in the classroom group, so please check those out when you guys are done taking the test. Yeah, and otherwise, guys, we're going to keep doing these proctored practice tests. We're going to keep answering questions during the time. And yeah, and we'll keep working hard. Okay, guys. So, Peter, yeah, question about the QAS. The QAS is just the if you pay a little bit more money, you get the full test back. You get your full test form back, as well as a copy of a blank test, and I think that's it. So I highly recommend you get it. So again, it's just like getting practice test results, except it was the real test. You get a real feel for it, being the real environment. And so I would definitely recommend ordering that, especially because I think it's like $20 or $30, and I think that's well worth the value of getting your results back from a real test. Okay, guys. Otherwise, yeah, we're gonna sign off. So check the classroom groups if you're in one of our classroom programs for instructions on what to do with your advanced score report. For those that are not in one of our programs, you guys can find the advanced score reports where you can plug in your answers in the description below this video. So just look at the post that says SAT and ACT advanced score reports. If you guys have any questions going forward, please don't hesitate to comment on this video or any of our other videos where we take these tests in real time. Hopefully those have continued to help you guys as you continue to prepare. And yeah, we'll be doing these live stream practice tests. I'm planning on every other Saturday, and then maybe I think we have it scheduled every Saturday during the month of September for all of the practice tests, or all of the real tests, the ACT and the SAT that happen in September and October. We'll be doing those every week in September. So again, keep up the hard work. You guys are doing great. I can't tell you how impressed and how proud I am that you guys are putting in this hard work despite all these crazy circumstances. So keep it up. If you guys have any questions for me, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out in the comments section of our other videos. Check out our membership program, which has the 20. I posted about that in the chat and beneath the video as well. But 20 hours of recorded content for our SAT and ACT program, and all of those are taught by me. So the same classroom programs that I continue to mention, the live stream ones for those, we have that all recorded now, and you can, as part of a YouTube membership program, if you click join, if you become a gold member, you get access to that structured recorded classroom program. And I teach all the classes, and you get the materials, and it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So check that out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, so that you guys can continue to participate and continue to get notifications when we come out with new videos. But otherwise, guys, again, great job. Keep up all your hard work. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. So have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.